So, what is the greatest discovery that humankind has ever made? Was it fire? Was it the wheel? Really, the greatest discovery that humankind has ever made was the fact that our thoughts create. Ernest Holmes said it this way: there's a power greater than we are that responds to the nature of our thought. So I want to build on that idea. There's a power greater than we are that responds to the nature of our thought. Well, that power has always been responding. That power never ceases to respond. It is continually responding, whether we are aware of it or not. So we talk about what's happened with humankind over periods of thousands and thousands of years. Well, the brain has changed, right? We've gone from a reptilian brain that responds and reacts, that's all about saving ourselves so that we won't be eaten, and protecting ourselves, to where we've got a frontal lobe where we start to think, where we're able to use cognitive thought, where we're able to rationalize, where we're able to do these things. But I want to suggest today that not only has our brain evolved and is it continuing to evolve, but our awareness of the brain and the brain's power continues to evolve. And as I contemplated that idea, it really came to me very crystally clear. That's why people see things differently. Because there are certain people whose brains have evolved and their awareness of the power within the brain has evolved. Therefore, they are seeing it differently. Why is it that there are people that can understand that there is an infinite power and presence that is functioning within them, and it is creating their lives, and yet they do not make a change in their lives to change the experience? They continue down the old pattern of thought, recreating over and over the same experience. Why is it that there are people that automatically question everything? And why are there people that accept things as they are without ever thinking to question? Could it be that the evolution within each individual in the awareness of the power of brain just is at a different point? I believe that to be true. I believe, as I tend to explore and have all of my beliefs constantly challenged, I tend to seek out information that causes me to question what I teach and what I believe. Because if I can question what I'm teaching and believing, then I can come to a deeper understanding of what works. And you see, this is what I want to really come back to, is what do we teach at Agape? We teach a practical way of life that empowers you to transform your lives through self-love. That's what we teach. But in order to self-love means that you have to understand that you are without bounds. You are without restrictions. You are not meant to be tied to something. It's like some people say, well, what's your book? You know, if you're a minister, people want to know, what's your book? Is the Bible your book? Well, no. The Bible's not my book. The Bible's a book. It's a book with a lot of interesting things in it. There's some great value in the Bible. Well, then what's your book? Is The Science of Mind your book? Well, The Science of Mind is a great book. It's got a lot of value in it. But do I believe everything in The Science of Mind? No. Do you believe that there has been an evolution of the brain, an evolution of consciousness, an evolution of your awareness, of your ability to analyze, your ability to think, that causes you to go beyond any book ever written? and to truly start to embrace this idea that there is a power within you that responds to the nature of your thought? And here's the key about that power. It only responds to the degree of our understanding and our awareness of it. And most of the time, we may have a great understanding of this power, and we share that understanding with everyone we know. The most fun thing to watch is a new person into this idea of religious science, and they just want to tell everyone about this great power. And that's wonderful. But the real question I want to ask is, are you using it? Are you consciously choosing to use it in all aspects of your life? Or are you, as one of my other favorite songs is, are you comfortably numb? See, the song that we just played by Simon and Garfunkel was a song about searching for America. America represents a whole lot of different things to a lot of different people. Because what I believe that our founding fathers came forward to teach was that there is so much more than being confined by what they were constricted with when they were in Britain and wherever else they were. They were confined by the religious teachings. They were confined by the political teachings. And our founding fathers came here with a consciousness, with an awareness to go beyond that and not be restricted. And so we were built on the idea of what? Separation of church and separation of state, meaning that we should be able to freely think without any bounds. And what's happening now? Now in the world or in America, people are trying to control us by getting us to, we have to believe this or we have to believe that. And it's causing a disarray. The number of people going to church is going down at an alarming rate to most people that believe in church as the way. And it's going down in that way because there are people of my age group who are going back to when they were young and they're re-questioning everything and saying, this doesn't make sense anymore, this is not serving. And then you've got the millennials coming up, and the millennials are saying, this has never served. I'm looking at the people that are buying into this, and they're absolutely miserable. Why would I adopt a belief that is miserable? Think about that. Why would you ever accept something that is for a lesser expression of love? I had the opportunity the other day with an individual who is a devout Christian and was very proud to say they're a very devout Christian. And in that same moment of saying that, they were condemning someone else. And with all the love in my heart, I looked at him and I said, I'm going to have to differ with you. And they looked at me rather stunned. I said, you're not a Christian. And they were dumbfounded. Well, I believe in the Bible. I said, no, you don't. Because you're not practicing what Jesus taught. You're not practicing loving God above all else and understanding that God is everything. Then loving God above all else is also loving yourself. And it means also loving everyone you come in contact with. That love cannot be about judgment. Have I stepped out? Well, why not? Why would we come in? Wait a second. Let's go back to something here. There's an infinite power and presence that we see that is everywhere, always has been, always will be. And that infinite power and presence, call it whatever you want, has created out of itself everything. So everything is it in expression, which means that I am and you are and everyone is an individualization of that consciousness. So the very mind that created the cosmos is the very mind that we think with, which is the power behind our thought. Did we come into this planet to care about what someone thinks of our views? Or did we come here to be the higher expression of ourselves, the higher expression of love? And when someone says bullshit, do you call them on it? I think if we don't call people on it, we're playing small. I don't think we're living up to who we are. If you had a child and your child came home and daily lied to you, would you call that child on that lie? Yes, you would. Why wouldn't you call the people in your life who are coming around and they're telling you these lies? Why wouldn't you stand up for yourself? I have a religion. I don't say this way very often. I have a religion, and my religion is this: love. That is the only dogma that I believe. It is the only dogma that I teach. Love means to me recognizing that everything in life is perfect, that everything in life is unfolding, that everything in life has power to unfold. And I'm here to see the beauty of how life, think about this, how can life have 7.5 billion people interacting, interweaving, doing this dance? And the 7.5 billion people, how many billions upon billions upon billions of animals are there? All of this doing this dance together, and then this 7.5 billion people are on this one itty-bitty little planet of trillions upon trillions upon trillions of planets. Think about that. So when someone comes to you and says, this book is the way, you say, why is it the way? What is it about this book that makes it the way? I'm getting really bold, aren't I, as I get older in this ministry? And I'm getting really bold because when I'm not, I don't feel very good. I don't feel like I'm being myself. I think United States of America has gotten soft. I think the United States of America is not standing up for what it believes. I think the United States of America has to reclaim its power, that there's a power in freedom. And that power and freedom means that each individual in this country has the right to choose. And they have the right to choose to be their unique self. And you know what? We can be that unique self and never take away another's rights. You see, that's the key. You can be this unique woman and never affect this unique woman, or this unique man and affect this unique man. There is enough of everything to go around. There is enough food on this planet right today that can feed the population of the world 4 times over. And yet we're throwing food away. Why? Because we're not honoring that. We're not stepping into that. We're not calling people on the nonsense of what's going on in the world. And it's time that we say that I respect your views, you respect mine, and let's live in harmony. See, that's what we came here for. Our founding fathers or the parents, or I'm a child of an immigrant. I didn't come with the founding fathers. My mother came from Sicily, so she was an immigrant. My grandparents came from Poland back in the 20s, so they were immigrants to this country. I'm proud to be here because I was given something that I couldn't have had my parents stayed where they were. I was given the freedom to think for myself. And that's the greatest gift of America. The freedom to think for yourself and to realize that it is not the government, it is not a religion, it is not your family that is your power. It is not your partner. It is not your child. It is you. When you tap into that inner wisdom, that inner guidance, that inner love, when you tap into that and you know that, you are all powerful. And what I call that is falling in love with life. And when we fall in love with life, we can't help but love ourselves. And when we love ourselves, we can't help but love others. Can you imagine this young man in South Carolina, how much hate he had for himself. Think about how much hate must be inside an individual that they would go out and kill anyone. So what was the answer? The answer is, how do we teach our children to love? How do we teach our parents to love? How do we teach ourselves to love? The first thing I will tell you is, don't judge yourself. The second that you judge yourself, you take yourself out of this idea of love. Love means accepting this physical body as an outpicturing of thought, and thought is consciousness, which is unique to me. Being that consciousness is unique to me, it creates my physical, mental, emotional experience. When I accept myself as I am, I accept that I have this power. I accept that I am the creator of everything in my life to this moment, and I'm accepting that I am now going to create my life in the new moment based on what I choose. I am now empowered. When I'm empowered, I am free. When I am free, I'm in love. My father is a simple man. He's a very, very simple man. But one thing my dad always taught me was question things. Question things. Always question things. In his own way was the greatest piece of advice my dad could give. The other thing my dad did is he said, be dependent on yourself. Learn to rely on yourself. Learn to be personally responsible. Learn to take the responsibility for your family. Learn to take the responsibility for your life. Learn to take all the responsibility for yourself. Do not give that power away. Now, he didn't say it that clearly because he's of a different generation. But he would always say things like the reward for good work is more work. He would say a portrait of oneself is a job well done. He was in his own way saying, rely on you, Lee. And then all of a sudden, when it was time to pass the baton from him being the patriarch to me becoming the patriarch of the family, it was an easy move. Because I had assumed the responsibility long before I was ever passed the baton. Because I assumed the responsibility for my life. See, my wife, who I love more than anything in the world, is not responsible for my happiness. My sons, who I love more than anything in the world, are not responsible for my happiness. You, as my friends, are not responsible for my happiness. I am. See, that's what America is about. It's about knowing that the power is within you. The power is not what anyone else gives you. It's what you bring, who you are, what you choose, what you say, and what you do. Keep that in mind. You cannot separate what you think, what you say, and what you do. They have to be in alignment, or the mind doesn't hear it as truth. Because the mind only knows truth. And when upon that truth, it gives. Think of it like this. Think of a scale where you've got two sides. You put thoughts in one direction here, thoughts in a direction here. Wherever is the greatest amount of thought is what's getting created in your life. So if you want to have a different experience, you've got to put on the other side of the scale different thoughts until the scale moves and the scale changes. That's what we call building a mental image, a mental equivalent. It's simply moving thoughts on the scale toward what you want, not what you're experiencing, not what you're victim to. We become victims by accepting what others say as our own way of thinking. You're meant to be free. So think about this. Everyone's evolving differently. The evolution of the mind, but more important, the evolution of our own awareness, the evolution of our ability to see our truth, to understand the power, and to use the power within us. Don't judge people. Just use that power in your life. If you are tapped in to that infinite power and you see someone as whole and perfect, that person will change before your eyes. Because there's truth in the idea that a conscious person can change 1,000,000 unconscious people. That's the power of one person who is consciously tapped into infinite power. You have the ability to see through the nonsense and see the truth, and the truth can never be denied. That person will change before your eyes. When you see the greatness of this woman, and you look into her eyes and you see that greatness flowing from her, she will change because she recognizes that something fantastic is happening that's being seen in her. You have that ability with every word, every thought, every look, and every action that you take. I invite you not to believe what I say. I invite you to test everything that I say and see if it works for you. I don't do this blindly. I would never believe blindly. I'm constantly testing and retesting. I invite you to do that. We call ourselves religious scientists because we form a hypothesis and we challenge it over and over and over again. And when it works, we test it again, we test it again, we test it again. And when our lives change, now we've got something to share. But if we don't test it, we've got nothing but dust. So I invite you this week, pick one thing. Take that scale and start loading up the thoughts on what you want. And just make that scale just hear only those thoughts. Do not listen, do not heed, do not read, do not watch anything that's not in alignment with what you want. And watch your life change because you have discovered the power within. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.